PALMER on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is on PALMER.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Working towards the weekend at this point. Casey Gaines and Alondra Villiao back there on the ones and twos. Excited to be with you for the next 2 hours. And as usual, we have plenty to talk about. I got SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming up for this week in 15 minutes. It's a What If Wednesday. We'll get some what ifs there that involve Jamarcus Russell, Patrick Mahomes, Michael Jordan, Nick Saban. Lots to get to in What If Wednesday. Deion Sanders is doing a lot up there in Boulder, Colorado. We'll briefly touch on that at the end of hour number one. Excited for J.D. Piquel to jump back in. He, of course, from On 3 joins us weekly during football season. Just kind of wanted to kick some SEC football thoughts around with J.D. at 2 o'clock, so we'll do that. Saints draft outlook at 2:15, and then as usual, Chris Demouy, former Tiger left-hander and host of the 66 Inches LSU Baseball Podcast, going to be with us at 2:30. We do start with last night, LSU and Nicholls in the box. Nicholls 6, LSU 5 in a thriller inside Alec Box Stadium. I was over at Pluckers getting ready to crank up sports trivia, and we were doing some sports trivia as the game continued, and it was a dramatic midweek game, no question about it. I drew 7 talking points from the game last night, which is pretty rare. Usually in a midweek game, it's like 8-3, LSU wins, and you just kind of try to find, well, this pitcher had decent command, a nice hit the other way by this guy. Oh, you see that home run in the 6th? But it doesn't necessarily carry much weight. I thought last night there were legitimately some things to bring up. The first point, and I've got these in order of importance to me in talking about the game. Nicholls played great. Nicholls made incredible defensive plays from start to finish. Nicholls got big hits when they needed to. They played great, and that's what it takes for a team of that caliber to beat a team of LSU's caliber. So that's first. Secondly, LSU's really banged up right now. I mean, really banged up. You have a lineup that has no Tommy White, no Trey Morgan, no Paxton Kling, no Brady Neal, and if you're watching Gavin Dugas and think he's anywhere close to 100%, I would disagree strongly. So that's 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in a 9-man lineup that you're playing without 4 of them and with a compromised 1. That's more than half. More than half your guys. They've got to take the next 5 weeks to get healthy. You don't need any more injuries, obviously, but you need some of these guys to just get to feeling a little bit better. And I think there's reason to believe they all will. Neal's is a little more ambiguous than the rest of them. Seems like it's just a tired back. I don't know. But you're playing without a lot of your guys. Number 3, and this is pertaining to the actual outcome of the game. Bryce Collins has an awesome breaking ball. It's fantastic. It may be the best one on the team. And he needs to feature that pitch a lot. He needs to go to that pitch at big moments. Absolutely. He's got to throw more fastballs. It's okay to throw a 3-1 slider, which he did, breaking curveball, 3-1 curveball with the bases loaded, which he did. It's okay to throw a 3-2 breaking ball with the bases loaded late in the game, in the ninth, which he did. But when all you've thrown are breaking balls, they can just sit on it. And the kid did and ripped it into right field for a hit. The breaking ball isn't as effective if you can't throw the fastball at some point. And to me, throwing breaking balls in those counts signified to me a lack of trust in the fastball. Now, whether that comes from Bryce Collins and his conversations with the pitching coach or whether that's straight Wes Johnson, I don't know what those type of conversations are and what goes into calling those pitches. But Bryce Collins has got to throw more fastballs. It's not like it's 87. He throws 94 miles an hour. Got to throw more fastballs. I'm okay with leaning on that breaking ball. It's really good. But you've got to throw some fastballs. Because if all you throw are breaking balls, they'll get it. Nicholls will get it. And they did. He's a high leverage guy for this baseball team, Bryce Collins. Got to mix in the fastball a little bit more. Number 4. This is probably lower than most of you would have had. But Thatcher Hurd was good. Was he electrifying? Was he sparkling or perfect? Dominating? I would say none of those words, but he was good. The fastball velocity seems pretty good, even though it's a little flat. It doesn't run very much. But the breaking ball was pretty good last night. And the breaking ball got some swings and misses. And he did give up a couple hits, and he got one saved because it hit his glove. Although I don't know if Thompson would have gotten to it or not. Looks on the replay like it would have been close. But Hurd was pretty good. And what I did notice, and I don't think I'm reading too much into this, I heard Hanny's talk about Thatcher Hurd at the beginning of his show and saying that he thought he relaxed after the ball hit his glove and he felt like he got a break. And whether that's true or not, we'll see. And Hanny was very open to the fact that he may have been reaching a little bit. But for me, I did see what looked like a little bit of confidence, a little bit of swagger to him. That was there in the games against Butler and Samford. He really did look like a guy that was confident. He was dominating in those games. He was racking up strikeouts and overwhelming those lesser teams. And we haven't seen that since. And it didn't look to that level of confidence, but it looked like there was some developing. And in the end, Thatcher Hurd goes 4 innings, gets through 69 pitches, only gave up the 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 5, walked 2. Got behind a little bit early, and I was a little uneasy about that, but he did a pretty good job, and there's something to build on there. And I'm certainly not going to totally rule him out of SEC weekends for the next couple of weeks just to focus on stretching out in the midweek. But don't think, I mean, you heard me yesterday, you might have heard me yesterday, saying that Jay Johnson has admitted he's using some of these midweek games to look like a Monday regional game in the event that they've used Floyd up, they've used Skeens up, they've used Little up, they've been heavy on maybe Collins and heavy on Herring in the weekend. They've got to use some of these other guys to get to a potential Monday regional game. And one of the things that would really make that easier is if Thatcher Hurd threw 4 or 5 innings in that game. Well, got another chance in the midweek next week. But you do need to focus on these SEC games. And if he needs to come in and pitch on Saturday or Sunday, I think you'll see that. But in the back of your mind, you're always thinking about that postseason, and Thatcher Hurd factors in to that. My 5th point on the game last night, that's an inexcusable base running play by Merrifield. Absolutely inexcusable. I know the situation. You see the ball. I mean, I watched him. The ball went up, looked like a flare. He looked back, saw where the center fielder was, and bolted. That's not good enough. It's reasonable to think that Jack Merrifield could be called upon to pinch run in a huge spot. There are some guys on that bench that I would go to before him. But Merrifield could be called on to pinch run. That dog will not hunt. You can't be thinking about winning the game. You got to be thinking about what the base running play is. And not only did he take off and get doubled up, he ran past the runner in front of him. Cannot happen. And if it takes that learning point against Nichols to realize you got to settle in and focus a little bit more and understand what you're doing at second base, I'm all for it. I'll take the loss. But that can't happen in big spots. And number 6, I was glad Ethan Fry got some at-bats. I'm glad Josh Pearson is getting some at-bats. If Morgan and White and Dugas need to rest, if Neal needs to rest, and you're going to shuffle some things around, I'm okay with those guys getting some ABs because I can see a situation where you may need one of those guys to hit. And before you balk and say, well, there's no way Ethan Fry is going to have to be called on to hit in a huge spot, did you watch the game on Sunday against Ole Miss? Did you think Hayden Travinski was going to be called upon with 2 outs in the 9th inning to get a huge hit? It can happen. And if you've been sitting on the bench for 10 weeks in SEC play because you're not one of the top 10 or 11 guys, it just helps every once in a while to get out there and get some swings in. Pearson had a nice, sharp single to right field. Fry had hit the ball hard a couple of times. Big hit late in the game. So I'm glad that some of the guys a little bit further down that have some real talent are getting some swings. And then you got the play at home in the 9th. And I don't know exactly what happened at home plate. First of all, Travinski should have caught the ball. And that's a play he's got to make when the throw comes in from Collins. But he didn't. And then in the situation where the umpires made it clear that the runner's not touched home plate, if you want to go tag him when he's 4 feet away, go tag him. Once he gets 30 feet away, you got to realize the situation. And I will say that Jay came out and was yelling very close to home plate and may well have been telling the catcher to go make the tag. And if that happened, then that was probably a step out of bounds. And if you do go run to tag him, Bryce Collins, then you need to be aware of what the runner's doing at third base while you're going to tag him. You don't even need to go over there. You need to stand by home plate because he can't score if he doesn't touch home plate. And eventually the umpire's going to call him out. But that was just poor awareness by LSU in a game where they had some poor awareness. And those are the type of plays that you've got to make and got to be aware of and got to understand in monster games. It's just a baseball IQ thing. And vacating home plate in a tie game, not great. But LSU's fine. They moved in the RPI last night down from 3 to 4. I mean, it's just not that big a deal. And I do, understand people that are saying, look, you're in a tight window. You got to be in the top 8. You got to keep your RPI intact. And so if you want to focus on some of these midweek games, I hear you. But the RPI is what matters. And LSU moved from 3 to 4. Now, I'd rather be 3 than 4, but 4 is plenty comfortable spot considering the amount of top 50 games you've got left to play. So LSU's not playing its best baseball at times, especially the last 2 midweeks. LSU is banged up a little bit, but you look up and you had a makeshift lineup that put together 5 runs on 7 hits and honestly should have won the game late and didn't do it. But good on Nichols. They played great baseball, and it's an exciting win for them. LSU will get back to the grind, and they'll get ready to play Alabama coming up this weekend inside Alec Box Stadium. Tigers now fall to 32-8 on the season. D1 baseball projections did come out today. Not going to spend really any time on them because it's not a huge talking point for this LSU team right now. But just in case you were wondering, LSU is the number 1 projected national seed by D1 baseball as of today. That includes the Nichols loss. So no harm done for LSU. You just didn't get it done. Got to clean it up. Go get it on Friday against Alabama. When we come back, SEC baseball power rankings. There's a pretty significant shift up in the power rankings after what was a wild weekend in SEC play with 3 massive sweeps over the weekend. So get you those SEC baseball power rankings as a What If Wednesday as well. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rally Cap Brewing. It's handmade for the home team right here in Baton Rouge. Head on over to the Rally Cap Brewing tap room right there on Segan. It is a fantastic spot to grab a beer, to watch some baseball. They got 14 beers on tap. They got 8 TVs. It's family friendly. It's pet friendly. And it's a really cool spot to just go hang out. But it's an even cooler spot to go tour the entire facility and see exactly how Rally Cap makes their beers. I had a chance to do it a couple of weeks ago. It is a really, really cool process. And at the end, get a guided flight, which is really, really cool. You got to buy your tickets in advance for the tours, which are today and tomorrow and Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 5 o'clock. Saturday at 1 o'clock. And that guided flight, you can get delicious first pitch that I love. This one right here on my set. Got the In a Pickle, which I also think is fantastic. If you're into the sours, if you're into the stouts, if you're into the crafty beers, this is your spot. Rally Cap Brewing. Check out the website, rallycapbrewing.com. Rally Cap, handmade for the home team.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
Charles Hannigan, join us for the Thursday edition of Handy Time. It's NFL Draft Day. We talk with Ken Trahan from Crescent City Sports, and Jacob Hester is in Kansas City at the draft. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's get some SEC baseball power rankings. Rank them 1 through 14. We'll get to What If Wednesday here coming up in 15 minutes. J.D. Piquel talking spring football at 2 o'clock. Usually in my power rankings, I give you a bunch of like numbers, statistics that like kind of back up why I do that. I'm not going to do that a lot today. I'm just going to kind of give a big picture sense of where things are with 12 games to go in conference play as we get to a point where the postseason picture is starting to come into clarity, what teams are going to have to do. Of course, Ole Miss at this point went nuts last year, and we know that story, but that doesn't happen all that often. More often than not, you kind of are what you are at this point. You can certainly get hot, we know that, and change your fortune, but you've laid a lot of the groundwork at this point. So I'll start at the bottom with number 14, and that's where I'll find Missouri, who is the worst team in the league. I'm comfortable saying that. Last week I said it was Georgia, and they went and swept Arkansas. We know that. I think Missouri's the worst team in the league. They're 5-13, which means, as I've pointed to for 3 weeks in a row, since they're 5-13, they are 2-13 since they swept Tennessee to open league play. And guess what, Missouri? You are 5-13 in the league, and a Florida team that's probably not in a very good mood after getting swept last weekend is waiting on you in Gainesville. So I don't think that's going to go great for Missouri. I think they're the worst team in the league at number 14. Number 13 is Ole Miss. Their season died on Sunday. Said that on Monday. When Hayden Travinski hit that home run and LSU came in and closed the door in the ninth inning to sweep them, Ole Miss's season is toast. They are 3-15 in league play. They are not going to go to 10-2 the rest of the way. I don't think they're going to make it to Hoover, quite frankly. They might not. And so I got the Rebs being done. I got them 13th. It looks pretty good on paper. It's not. 12 through 9 is LSU's remaining schedule. Just keep that in mind. In my power rankings from the SEC, 12 through 9 is who LSU's got left on the schedule. I'll start here with Georgia. They are 6-3 over the last 3 weekends in SEC play against Kentucky, Florida, and Arkansas, which is pretty impressive. But they're 7-11 overall, and they did lose the series to Florida. So they're headed to Oxford this week, so they could get better. They could claw themselves out of this bad spot they're in. But at 7-11 with an iffy starting rotation, they got a great middle of the order, which has been impressive hitting for home runs with Condon. But I still got them at 12. I got Mississippi State at 11. Mississippi State's not going to make the NCAA tournament. They're 6-12 in league play right now, and what they've got left is at Tennessee, Arkansas, at LSU, and Texas A&M. Mississippi State's not as good as any of those 4 teams, and they're 6-12 in the league. They're not going to make the postseason, so State is at 11. I've got Auburn at number 10. They're 7-11 in league play, 23-17-1 overall. This is the problem with Auburn. In the 2 games they lost against Bama, they scored a total of 3 runs. Just the offense went away for 2 days. In back-to-back games against Mississippi State over the weekend, they gave up 11 in each game, 22 total. So their pitching was toast for 2 days. They're not like the worst in the league at anything other than defense. But they're not consistent with anything. So I don't like State. They're not going to. I don't like Auburn. I don't like their makeup, and they're 7-11 overall. Number 9, I've got Bama. That's who LSU will play this week. They're 9-9. They're not in a bad spot at all. They're 9-9, and I've got them 9th in the power rankings. There you go. Unfortunately, they've lost their top 2 pitchers in Hess and Hitt. They did win 5 of 6 against Auburn and Missouri, but Bama's 9-9, and coming up is LSU and Vanderbilt. Their saving grace, and we'll talk about this on Friday, is Colby Shelton's a really good hitter, and he hit 7 home runs in 5 days back in March. He's got 3 in the last 3 games, so maybe he gets hot and helps them out. They did just get a little resurgence from last year's Friday night starter, McMillan, who was inserted into their rotation, but I got Bama at number 9. Those are the teams that are going to have to fight to get in the NCAA tournament. Bama probably will, but the ones below that I'm not feeling super awesome about. 8 and up is obviously the meat of the SEC. I've got Kentucky at number 8. They've lost 3 weekends in a row. I think their pitching staff is a fraud. And I think their offense, while pesky and at times effective, is not the best way to win, especially in a league that's slugging like crazy when your pitching isn't very good. So, as we've talked about, Kentucky's lost 3 weekends in a row, and here's what's coming up. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, at Tennessee, Florida. They'll make a regional. They will not host, even though they're 11-7. I've got A&M at 7. All of a sudden, they've won 4 straight SEC series. And the one they just won, talking about A&M, in Lexington, Nathan Detmer, who's been their only real starter through 2 innings. And then they inserted Dillard as a starter in Game 3, and he threw 3 2/3. They have no semblance whatsoever of a weekend rotation. But they're winning some. So they've got to get it done in the next 6 games somehow, some way, and not get left for dead. They're at Arkansas, and they play Florida. If they can get past that, then they've got Bama and Mississippi State to finish the season, and they could play themselves into a host spot. If they can go 4-2 against Arkansas and Florida, and then 5-1, they'd win 16 league games. So we'll see. I got A&M at number 7. Arkansas, I've got at number 6. They were up there in the top 3 last week, but you go get swept by by Georgia, not great. They're 11-7 in league play, trying to get Brady Tigert back this weekend. They have no RPI issues, which they had last year. Arkansas is in good shape in the RPI at 5, but now your life's a little bit tougher because you got swept by Georgia. You got A&M at Mississippi State, South Carolina at Vandy left. Arkansas was probably greater than the sum of its parts in terms of their record until last week. Now we'll see what they're made of as they move forward. In the 5th slot, I've got Tennessee. The Vols are 8-10 in the league, but I have them ranked better than 4 teams that have a better league record because I think they may have found something the last week. They lost 4 of their first 5 SEC series, but they swept Vanderbilt, and here comes Mississippi State and Georgia on their schedule. They could get hot. They found a new bullpen arm in Chase Burns. Dolander's kind of returned to form a little bit, especially with the strikeouts. They're swinging the bats a little bit better, and all that team probably needs is a little bit of confidence. And once that comes, they could be scary. And getting that big sweep that they got over Vanderbilt with the 2 Bulldogs who aren't very good coming up, Tennessee could get hot. I got them at 5. Y'all know for the last few weeks we've been doing this, and I've had Florida ahead of LSU at number 1. I've now moved Florida down to number 4. They're 11-7, which is not all that gaudy a record. Their best series win is at Tennessee. They did get 2 out of 3, and that's very good. The rest of the SEC effort's a little bit underwhelming. So we'll see what this team is made of. The bullpen concerns me. And Caglione has had a tough time throwing strikes when they've called on him in game 3s. So look, you're 11-7 right now if you're Florida, and your last 3 weekends are at A&M, Vanderbilt, and at Kentucky. So I still like Florida. I still think they're a national title contender. Do I think they're the best team in the SEC right now? I don't. I have come off that. I've got Vanderbilt at number 3. Vanderbilt is 13-5 in league play, but obviously coming off a sweep. They were 13-2. Their arms got hammered at Tennessee last weekend. But I still think Vanderbilt is really good. I trust the top of their rotation. Their bullpen has a ton of dudes that throw really hard, and they've hit for the most part. Tennessee just got after them for 3 days. Happens. Still waiting for the time when LSU loses a weekend. We hadn't gotten there yet, but I'm imagining they're not going to win them all. We'll see. But Vanderbilt had their dose of medicine last weekend, and I still think they're a national title contender. They're definitely a threat to win the SEC, but I've got them as the 3rd best team. Now, let me tell you, the listener, how I feel about the top 2 here, because we know what's left. Gamecocks and your Fighting Tigers of LSU. In what order do I put them? I promise you, when I put these power rankings together, I am not trying to Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless you here. I'm not trying to get 400,000 people to click on it. I'm not trying to create controversy. I'm not trying to be dishonest in terms of creating interest. That's just not the way I'm wired. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And that's why I had Florida over LSU the last 3 weeks, because LSU's pitching staff has given me some concerns with injuries and lack of consistent performance. And I knew that I was going to move Florida down after this weekend and kind of looking at what I've seen. And right now, if LSU and South Carolina played a weekend at the box, I would pick LSU to win the weekend. If they played a weekend in Columbia, I would pick South Carolina to win at home. I think South Carolina is legit. And I think they're the best team in the league right now. I promise I'm not trying to stir the pot. Ty Floyd took a big step last weekend. Give me another one against Bama. Christian Little has taken some steps the last 2 weeks. Show me a little bit more of that against Bama. Those 2 guys settle in, and you get what you've gotten from Herring and Guidry. Okay. Oh, by the way, can Tommy White keep playing? And can Trey Morgan come back? And how does Gavin Dugas feel? And what does LSU have at catcher? I just have a few more questions about LSU right now than I do South Carolina, who continues to hit, who hit home runs off Paul Skeens, who hit home runs off Ty Floyd, who had a 4-run lead against LSU late in Game 2 of that series. But LSU, because they're one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country, came back and won that game. I think these teams are razor thin. And I would certainly pick LSU to win if you sent Paul Skeens out there, because that's the best team in the country. But right now I have LSU 2 and South Carolina 3. Look, South Carolina right now is 13-4 in the league. Their RPI is 1. South Carolina is 5 SEC wins, in my opinion, if they got to 18 with their RPI where it is right now, to being a national seed. 5 wins. They got 12 games left. They have 16 quad 1 wins. They're 16-5. LSU has 10. And guess what? Auburn's coming to Columbia this weekend, and I think that's probably going to go pretty well for the Gamecocks. So I know that y'all did not approve of my putting Alabama over LSU during football season in power rankings. I know that y'all do not approve of me putting Florida ahead of LSU and South Carolina ahead of LSU in these baseball power rankings. South Carolina goes and drops a series, or has Will Sanders go down with Tommy John, and LSU has Ty Floyd go out there and throw 7 shutout with 8 strikeouts against Alabama, I'll change my tune like that. I'm just calling it as I see it right there. And right now I think that South Carolina is the best team in the Southeastern Conference, and maybe and probably the best team in the country right now, which I did not think I would be saying when LSU went to Columbia. They've made an impression on me over those 2 games and have continued it since then. So I know South Carolina's lost a weekend. I know. And LSU has not. But LSU hadn't played Vanderbilt. So I think it's razor thin. Those are my SEC Power Rankings for the week. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. It's a What If Wednesday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We're a day out from the NFL Draft. Mike Triplett joins us, and we'll recap LSU Nichols from the box. Join us for Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, J.D. Piquel with us in 25 minutes talking spring football. Chris Demouy in hour number 2 talking some LSU baseball. Very much looking forward to all of hour number 2. But it's the bottom of hour number 1 on a Wednesday. That means it's time for some What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, Hunt, what if Jamarcus doesn't get taken by Oakland?
I think he's got a better shot. That was obviously an organization that was going to be tough to catch on with and have a lot of success. But I don't get the sense that Jamarcus had all the traits that make the all-time great quarterbacks. He's an all-time great quarterback talent. I would stand by that today. Watching him play while I was in college in the student section was unbelievable. There aren't that many people on earth that have been given the ability to throw the football like him, and he was so productive in college. And I think there could have been something unlocked if he would have went to a more favorable organization like Denver or Pittsburgh or Baltimore, or even, New Orleans at that time, what was coming with Drew and Sean Payton. But I don't get the sense that he was ever going to reach that full potential in the NFL, and Oakland just expedited that fall. And so I think it could have been a little bit different. Would it swung violently another direction? No, I don't think that's all Oakland's fault.
Okay, what if Mahomes falls a couple of picks to the Saints?
That's the fun one, huh? Look, Drew had a couple of years left, and you probably would have had him sitting, which he did do briefly behind Alex Smith. But if Mahomes does fall to the Saints and they do take him, I think you end up with a situation where he becomes the starting quarterback and Sean Payton continues a Favre to Rodgers type deal. And Sean wouldn't have ended up leaving, and they would have sustained that level of excellence and would have really had a kind of a resurrection right after Drew, where the last couple of years the offense was good, but Drew was a little limited what he could do. He just was incredibly efficient at doing it. Mahomes would have unlocked the entire treasure chest, and it would have been another great run of Saints football. Unfortunately, and the Saints had him pegged. They were going to go get him, and Kansas City jumped right in there and made the play, and now they're going through the greatest run in their organization's history. So that's an interesting one, and I think it's pretty easy. That what if to me is pretty easy. It would have kept on humming, and Sean would still be there.
All right, this one is from Jason on Twitter. What if LSU baseball runs into multiple small ball / base stealing teams like the past 2 mid games in a regional?
So obviously, Louisiana Lafayette runs a little bit. Nichols does run a little bit. And LSU ran into one of those with Kentucky, and they handled them pretty easily a couple of times. I would be concerned more, I think, with a team that slugs against Ty Floyd than I would a team that wants to bunt and steal. And the thing that LSU has this year to go along with their ace is that they've got a couple of more options in the bullpen than they did last year. It was really Cooper, Razelman, Gervais. That's it. They've got some more guys they can go to this year, and their offense is deeper. It's just the offense is incredible. You've replaced Barry with Tommy White, and you've picked up Dodie Slack as well, and you're just a little bit better offensively 1 through 9, and they should be able to hit their way through the regional. Maybe they'll find a team that's got as deep a pitching staff as Southern Miss. I doubt it from last year. But as far as a regional goes, I'm not concerned about really any style of play against LSU. The one thing you're concerned about in a regional is a pitcher getting really hot and rolling through. That's a possibility, but for me, I'm not concerned about any style of play coming in and beating LSU. You keep in mind that in a regional, you're going to be pitching your best guys, and you haven't seen Paul Skeens or Ty Floyd or Christian Little for much in the 2 midweek games, so I think LSU will be just fine.
From Cole on Twitter, what if MJ hadn't retired the first time to play baseball?
I think the biggest legacy changer there is Elijah one, because that's where he found his titles when Jordan left. And if Jordan doesn't leave, is there any reason for me to believe that you wouldn't take those 2 3-peats and turn it into 8 straight? I mean, that's a lot to ask, but it seems pretty reasonable. He won those 6 in a row. You couldn't just tack 2 on, and that's where Houston wedged in there and found their way. I guess you got to think, if you're some of the other stars of that era with Barkley, Malone, Stockton, those teams that had that 2-year window, and Houston's the one that broke through, I guess that's where you think you missed your chance. But yeah, I mean, 8 straight. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that Michael Jordan's legacy can be elevated any more than it currently is. But I guess if he'd have won 8 straight, you would have felt that way.
All right, last one from Jay on Twitter. What if Nick Saban had gone from the NFL to a program like Mississippi State? Would he have still had similar success to what he's had at Alabama?
This is a good question from Jay, and I think this one I've got a pretty good read on. I think if Nick Saban leaves the Dolphins for Mississippi State, he would have built them up quickly to become a strong, strong team in the SEC West. I think he probably wins the West and maybe wins the SEC. I don't know. But he would have gotten the players and gotten the commitment. He would not have taken the Mississippi State job without assurances like he did in Baton Rouge that they were going to commit financially the best they could to create what he needed to work with. And I think it would have worked in about a 4-year window. And then Florida or Auburn or LSU again or Georgia or Texas or Ohio State or one of those teams hires him from Mississippi State. It doesn't look, if he goes to Mississippi State, it's not a 15-year run with 4 national titles. I think he wins the West, and I think he maybe wins the SEC, and maybe could have pushed for a national championship depending on just how long he stayed and just what quarterback he was able to pull in. But make no mistake, that recruiting ability and his program and structure he puts in place, it would have taken at Mississippi State better than it took at Michigan State. And then I think he moves on because somebody snatches him up with a bigger budget where he sees the higher ceiling. But that's a fascinating thought, and it changes the course of college football for so many reasons, because there just aren't that many guys that can create that big a ripple effect. Most guys come in, you either fail or you're okay, and then eventually you fail. This guy drops, dynamite in the pool, and it just changes everything. So I think that's an interesting thought, and I think it works at Mississippi State for a short period, and then he ends up at Florida, and that's where that would have gone. But that's a really good question from Jay on Twitter. Appreciate y'all for getting involved on What If Wednesday, jumping in the Bayou Ford chat, throwing your what ifs in there as well. We'll do it every Wednesday. I kind of send out every Wednesday morning kind of a what if trigger on Twitter. Appreciate getting those questions sent on in. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Luba. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com. Every $5 donated is an entry into our raffle. You can win an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture, Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet, Justin and Jamar Chase framed wall print, 3 days and 2 nights at the CMA Music Festival in Nashville, Friday, June 9th to Sunday, June 11th. Concert ticket package to see Thomas Rhett, Shinedown, Zach Brown, Depeche Mode, Guns N' Roses, and Hardy. Listeners have been so great with Dreams Come True this month. It's been an awesome push. We got a couple of days left. If you have the means, we certainly appreciate a donation at 1045ESPN.com to make as many of these dreams come true as we possibly can. Sometimes send the kids to Disney World. Sometimes it's a pet for the family home. Sometimes it's meeting an idol of theirs. Whatever we can do to help make those dreams happen for the children right here in Louisiana that are fighting these battles, we want to help do. And you, the listener, have just been such an awesome, awesome, awesome part of this all April long. We certainly do appreciate it. We'll come back. Deion's shaking some things up in a big way, and The Athletic, who does some really good reporting, talked to some of the kids that Deion cut over the weekend. I'll tell you some of those stories next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets back, win or lose. There are great promotions every day. The app is safe. The app is secure. And the best part is when you win with FanDuel, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues, knowledgeable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
For live coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft, starting with Round 1 Thursday at 8 p.m. and continuing Friday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at noon. Our coverage is presented locally by Rouse's, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, Deion's made a lot of waves up there in Boulder, which is good news for Colorado because they've been absolutely irrelevant for 30 years. And this was the risk that the Colorado administration and athletic department were willing to run. Deion's never coached at this level. He's an FCS guy with limited head coaching experience, but we're going to see what happens. And it's nothing if not interesting. They wrapped up their spring with a televised spring game in a full stadium over the weekend, which is brand new to them on both accounts. And then, as of Tuesday, they had pushing 30 guys jump in the transfer portal. And most of them were cut. The Athletics said, okay, well, let's try to get to the bottom of this. Let's talk to people. What happened? So they did. They got to 4 guys who jumped in the transfer portal from Colorado that didn't really want to. One of them was Travis Gray. He thought he had Sunday off after the spring game. He was eating lunch at Olive Garden, and he knew he had a meeting with Deion Sanders at 3 o'clock. On Monday, the next day, his phone buzzed, and it was offensive line coach Bill O'Boyle. So the meeting was no longer 24 hours later. It was 30 minutes from right that second. So O'Boyle went to the lobby of the team facility, met with Travis Gray, the offensive lineman, and said, look, bud, you're about to get cut. And I didn't want you to hear that from Deion. I wanted you to hear it from my mouth. So let's go in the meeting. And Deion looked up and said, you're 6'8", 320, and there's going to be a school that'll pick you up right when you get in the portal. Keep progressing, and you're going to have a great future. It's just not here at Colorado. And he had that conversation with 30 kids. This one grew up in Aurora, Colorado, and his dad played at Colorado. And that's what's going on up there. And I thought about this and telling 23 kids, pushing 30 kids, all right, that's it. See ya. That's a tough thing to do and maybe not the right thing. And then I went, yeah, it is. It's a transfer portal. They all get a free transfer. They can go wherever they want. Deion's job is not to make sure that the 6'8" offensive lineman who committed to a staff that went 1-11 last year sticks at Colorado. His job is to win football games at Colorado. You got to go get the players that help you win football games. And he said in that first meeting that he's bringing his own luggage, and it's Louis. And that's what he's going to try to do. So their numbers are way, way down right now. What I didn't love is part of the story, and I wasn't at any of these practices, and I don't know, but it was consistent from each of the players that the Athletic talked about, is the players that came in the transfer portal that Deion brought with him, Shedeur Sanders, his son, Travis Hunter, the 5-star that he brought from Jackson State, they were getting coached really hard and getting a ton of reps in spring. The guys that were from the previous staff, the holdovers from the 1-11 team, they never heard from coaches. Went through the reps, never got any coaching, film sessions, nothing. Deion had kind of made his point known that, hey, I got these 25 guys here that I need to work with. We're going to work with them. The rest of y'all, good luck at UNLV. And I don't know if that is the greatest message to send. You ought to be coaching guys in spring practice. But I would side with Deion in this era. When you get a free transfer anywhere you want to go, and you've seen guys in spring enough to know that you've got to bring in a whole new staff and a whole new roster, that's just the way it goes now. It goes both ways. If the players can jump here to there and everywhere in between without telling coaches in advance, then the coaches can go get players too. That's just what we've created here. And I'm willing to play by those rules. It's just, again, we'll see how well he's able to put together a roster at Colorado. He's got a long way to go. You thought LSU was in bad shape coming off the field of the Texas Bowl? At least they had some 4 and 5 stars ready to roll. Colorado's got a bunch of kids that went 1-11 last year. They're all out the door, and you're just bringing them in from everywhere you can possibly bring them, and the numbers aren't very good right now. So it's a bizarre time up in Boulder, but I think it'll be interesting. Something for us to talk about that we don't have to care about and live and die with. You just say, that's interesting that's going on up there at Boulder. That'll do it for hour number 1. I want to remind you to come on out tomorrow night to Don Juan Cigar Bar. It's the Rouse's 104.5 ESPN draft party. We're going to be hanging out the whole station from 7 to the end of the draft. Saints will pick at 29. Jimmy will be placing bets on the draft order, placing bets on how many cornerbacks go, placing bets on how many running backs go, placing bet on this guy over under 20. That'll be really fun to watch. We'll be chatting about it on the YouTube stream, so you can definitely tune in there. But we want you to come out to Don Juan Cigar Bar, and we appreciate Rouse's for making the draft party happen. 7 o'clock tomorrow at Don Juan. Very much looking forward to that. All right, hour number 1, reacted to LSU and Nichols at the top of the show. My SEC baseball power rankings at 115. It is a What If Wednesday. What if Jamarcus doesn't go to Oakland? What if the Saints get Patrick Mahomes? What if Nick Saban leaves the Dolphins and heads to Mississippi State at that time? All very, very interesting what ifs that we explored in What If Wednesday before we got to Deion's Purge up there in Boulder. A couple guests in hour number 2, very much looking forward to. JD Piquel of On3 Sports, host of The Hard Count, will join us at the top of the hour to talk about all things spring football, including what could come at quarterback for Alabama and Auburn. Saints, what are they looking for in the draft? We'll get to that in hour number 2 as well. And Chris Demui always joins us on Wednesdays, former Tiger left-hander and host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU Baseball podcast. Going to join us at 2:30 before we do what we always do to end shows, and that is play Take It or Leave It. So we're going to pause for a couple minutes here for Sports Center. Hope you come back with us for hour number 2 on a Wednesday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Plenty of smiles today as the Jets introduced new quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He explained part of the reason he wanted to play for New York, the coaching staff, and his familiarity with offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett from their days in Green Bay. Also called himself an old guy, happy to be part of a team with a chance to win it all. He told reporters starting tomorrow he'll be part of the Jets' offseason program. Rodgers was also asked if he will play for New York beyond this season.
Right now I'm just going to focus on this season, and I'm excited about being here. I expect to be here for the duration of the offseason, and I'm excited to get to know my new teammates and the coaching staff and the organization. And obviously I have a background with Coach Hackett and that offense, but I'm excited about just diving in and being a part of this group.
Aaron Rodgers, NBA Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard diagnosed with a torn meniscus. He and the team will decide on the course of treatment within the next 2 weeks, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Leonard missed the final 3 games of the first-round playoff series against the Suns with what the team had called a right knee sprain.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Wednesday. Half the work week in the rearview mirror. Hope your Wednesday is going awesome. We're with you for 60 more minutes here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our pleasure now to head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chat with a guy we chat with weekly during the football season. That is JD Piquel of On 3 Sports, host of the Hard Count. JD, how are you, sir?
Brother, I'm doing phenomenal. Good to hear your voice again. I feel like we're back in football season. We're back in go mode over here.
You're always in football season, aren't you?
we try our best. I feel like with the portal and with recruiting, like there genuinely is always something in college football going on. So I'm living in football season, but it's great to be back on the air with you, my man.
Well, let's talk a little bit about spring football. I think the biggest kind of story down here is that there aren't any stories, which is great for the first time in 4 years, between changing defensive coordinators 4 years in a row, head coaches being fired, new ones brought in, assistants all over the place. Now you got same 2 quarterbacks, same 2 coordinators, same head coach. It feels like everything's on solid ground here in Baton Rouge. What's been your take from spring in the last couple of months looking at LSU?
I think it's just crazy to look at where LSU was a season ago with Ryan Kelly coming in and everybody had a take on his accent being real or fake and is he a fit? And then fast forward the tape another year and it's like, hey, LSU's the team to beat in the West. And then, you know, I mean, like that is just such a wild thing to say with Brian Kelly only going into his second season that he's flipped it as quick as he has. I think a lot of us knew, hey, there's some pretty solid ingredients in the kitchen at Baton Rouge to do some good things with that football team. But for him to do it in a matter of 1 year, I mean, I think you have to feel enormously confident heading into 2023 and being the big dog. So Jaden Daniels looked good in the spring game. Garrett Nussmeyer looked good in the spring game. Kyron Lacey, a little bit of OBJ impression, showing up on SportsCenter. Like the good times are rolling right now in Baton Rouge coming out of spring football, I would imagine.
A little bit of a shakeup with SEC Media Days this year as they're headed to Nashville instead of the heart of Bama country right there in Hoover. And because of that location, you'd have a ton of local Alabama media that would come and maybe skew the vote a little bit. With a more neutral vote in Nashville, I mean, that's just the reality of it. If you got 20 TV stations coming into Hoover and every Alabama magazine and whatever coming in, you just get a little bit of a skewed vote. I do think there's a real chance LSU gets picked by the media to win the SEC West. That doesn't mean anything, but I think there's a real chance of that.
Oh, there's absolutely a real chance of that. And I mean, you look at where Alabama and LSU are trending. Like we're talking today about, is Tyler Buckner maybe going to be the guy at Bama next year? And Tyler Buckner, for those that have been keeping track, played his spring football at Notre Dame. So potentially you're either going to have a quarterback you don't feel great about by nature of this Tyler Buchner conversation, or you have Tyler Buchner, and then you have LSU returning, Jaden Daniels. Can he take the next step in the system? A defense that should be better. And I mean, everything is just trending up for LSU and for Alabama. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's ever trending down in Tuscaloosa, but it's very much so a wait and see more than it has been in the past with the exodus of Bryce Young and some of the other talents in the NFL.
So this is why you're here, because I didn't watch a snap of the Alabama spring game, and I heard that Nick Saban said that said something to the effect that we may need to look in the transfer portal. But how bad could it have been over the last 6 weeks for Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe that the question had to be asked? And what do you think the situation is right now in Tuscaloosa post Bryce Young?
Coming out of the spring football game, my thought process was, neither guy really separated themselves, which is a little bit of a bummer if you're an Alabama fan. Great news if you're a fan of any other SEC team. But the thing for me was I saw both guys flash enough to where I was like, okay, you can make that down the field throw that I don't know that you could have made, or I didn't know you could have made maybe a season ago. And Ty Simpson looked capable. But no, I mean, to your original question, the fact that we're even having a conversation about Alabama bringing in a quarterback from another team after spring practice, like we're reading between the lines here. Like if you're bringing in somebody else from another team after you get 15 practices, one of the most crucial times in development, you must not feel amazing about what you have in that quarterback room. So I think that in itself says a lot about where Bama's at right now. But I mean, during the spring game, I came away, I think maybe a little bit more encouraged about the quarterback room than maybe the narrative nationally and implied. But I mean, I'll say this: if they don't end up getting Tyler Buchner or they don't get somebody else in the portal, I think the offense and the approach they have under Tommy Rees will be a little bit more old school Bama, meaning they're not going to say, hey, quarterback, drop back, make something happen for us, like they might have done with Bryce Young last year, because that was luxury. I think if it's Jalen Milroe, it'll be, hey, we're going to get you downhill running the ball. We're going to make those safeties commit. When they do commit, we're going to give you a chance to throw it deep. Same thing with Ty Simpson. We're going to run the ball downhill with Justice Haynes, Jason McClellan, and then when something opens up, hit the shot. Whereas, again, last year, really, really quarterback-centric. So a lot of moving pieces in Tuscaloosa. We'll be on Tyler Buchner watch here for the next few days, it looks like. But, yeah, very, very interesting times. A lot shifting right now in Tuscaloosa.
Did it sound like one of them had a leg up in the spring, or it was kind of a dead heat, and then we'll see in August?
I think the lean across most circles is Jalen Milroe, what he brings to the table running the football, and then as well as, the number of snaps he got in the spring game, or maybe how he looked at those snaps in the spring game. He probably gets the lean if you play a game tomorrow. And that's just my feeling, again, what I feel like I've heard from other people. We had Greg McElroy on the show not too long ago, and he was saying, he's like, look, man, Jalen Milroe could very easily be the best athlete on your offense playing quarterback. And that's something that I think you have to take into account when you're trying to figure out, okay, what do we have at wide receiver? Do we have, the game breakers out there that need to, have somebody that can definitely get it to them 10 out of 10 times? Or is it, hey, we'll live with 8 out of 10 times. If you can bring something running the table or running the football to the table as well, like we'll roll with that. So the answer I would say is the lean is probably Milroe right now in my eyes, but if they bring Buchner into this thing, that could shake the entire race up.
What do you make of Tyler Buchner, the Notre Dame transfer, putting the do not contact on his transfer portal status? It feels like there's got to be some sort of previous relationship, which Tommy Rees would qualify there. Is that the read?
That's how it feels to me. Like if you're going to break up with somebody and make it clear, hey, I'm single, I'm very single, but also do not call me.
Yeah.
And also there's a lot of links to you're talking to your ex again. It's like, okay, what are we supposed to believe there? You're single, you're not taking calls from anybody, you're talking to your ex, you're probably getting back with your ex. I think we've all kind of seen this situation play out a time or two, whether it's middle school, high school, college. We kind of know where this thing is going. So that's really how it feels to me. And I think if Alabama does take him, it will be because Tommy Rees got in that meeting and was just emphatic that, hey, Tyler Buchner, we need to get him. Because, watching Tyler Buchner in a small sample size of Notre Dame and watching the guys from, between Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson and even the freshmen, I don't know that I see anything Tyler Buchner that makes me feel like he's just going to be worlds better than Jalen Milroe or worlds better than a Ty Simpson. So I think this is a Tommy Rees-driven effort if they do end up getting Tyler Buchner, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Do you think Tyler Buchner would be fielding any calls from the Auburn Opelika area if he were to be contacted? Is Auburn in the market for a transfer portal quarterback?
Man, I think he should be. If he's not, he should be. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's single, and the beautiful part about being single is you kind of get to play the field for a little bit there. I'll say this though, I'm very happily married, so I'll leave it at that. But when it comes to Auburn, I actually like the fit schematically a little bit better for him. Now the situation with the playmakers around him and how built out Alabama is obviously just a better situation. But if he ends up at Auburn, his dual threat ability and what Hugh Freeze likes to do with that up-tempo offense, and Philip Montgomery and all the success he's had developing quarterbacks like Case Keenum and RG3, like I think Auburn actually makes a lot of sense and would be a pretty solid second option if for whatever reason Bama falls through. So should he field calls? I would say absolutely. Or should he, I guess with do not contact, should he dial calls to the Auburn Opelika area? Without a doubt, that would be on my to-do list from Tyler Buchner.
I think one of the interesting storylines in the SEC West heading into this coming fall is how different this Mississippi State offense looks post Mike Leach. And you obviously know he's going to have his hands all over that offense, and they're going to do it exactly the way he wants to do it. Now you bring in a non-air raid offensive coordinator. What does that look like with Will Rogers coming back, who's lived in the air raid?
Yeah, that's really the curious part of this whole thing is if you want to run a certain style of offense, well, then the question becomes, do you have the personnel to run that offense? I mean, just like you were alluding to a second ago, I can't tell you I want to make a sandwich if I don't have any bread in the fridge or bread on the counter, however you store your bread. I mean, that really is, I think, the million-dollar question is, do they have the personnel to run the more pro style of offense that I think they're going to try to run this coming season? So it could be a little bit of a give and take. Like, hey, maybe we don't make the complete overhaul to that pro style system. We kind of keep it air raid-esque to start and kind of ease us into that. But when you got a guy like Will Rogers back at quarterback, you know, you got to let that guy go back there and sling it. So it'll be fascinating to see how they blend it early on, just because those are pretty two opposing styles to try and make work.
Last one here, JD. We appreciate your time. You are the Carolina Panthers. What are you doing in terms of your quarterback moving forward? Are you going with Bryce Young, or are you going to roll the dice with somebody else?
I said this, I guess, after we finished up bowl season. To me, I feel a lot like Kevin Costner in Draft Day. If you've seen that movie Hunt, like I've got a sticky note in my pocket and I'm writing down on it, Bryce Young, no matter what. Like how he says Vontae Mack, no matter what. I'm saying Bryce Young, no matter what. I don't care what anybody scored on the S2, whether it was Bryce Young, who I think knocked it out of the park, and C.J. Stroud scored lower. Like Bryce Young, for what he did in the SEC and the skill set he brings to the table, like everybody wants to talk about, you know, well, he's kind of frail. What if or frail is the wrong word. He's a little bit lighter. What if he gets hurt? What if you draft him and he doesn't end up panning out? It's like, to me at this point, the risk is so much more. What if you don't draft Bryce Young and you have to watch him go do whatever he does in the NFL for a long period of time? Like that to me, I think is really the much larger risk. Is his upside in my eyes is so immense. I would draft him no matter what with that number one pick.
I don't know if you know this. I'm a huge Chicago Cubs fan, so I follow the Chicago media for my Cubs stuff, and I get some football stuff that leaks over. They talk about the fact that the Bears took Mr. Trubisky and not Patrick Mahomes. I mean, not Deshaun Watson. Pretty much all they do it constantly. That's all they talk about. And so it's something you got to live with if you make that mistake. And I'm with you. I would be on Bryce Young. So appreciate your time, JD. We'll do it again soon.
You're the man. Thanks so much for having me on. Enjoy the draft.
He is JD Pickell from On3 Sports. You can catch him on YouTube, host of The Hard Count. Is all football, all the time, all year round. If you're a football head and you want some football stuff, JD is your guy. Speaking of football, the Saints need to make some draft picks over the next 72 hours. I'll tell you what I think they need to start looking for next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. Ah, the rain, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
A Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Mornings from 7 to 10 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thursday edition of Jacob Hester is in Kansas City at the draft. Handy time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Before we get to the black and gold, some breaking news for LSU football. It was expected. Trades Green, big tight end from East Feliciana, just north of Baton Rouge, has selected the Tigers, has verbally committed to play football, and for the time being, basketball at LSU. That's a tough ask, but he may try it. I think he's going to be a football player, a tight end, first and foremost, but could potentially give some help in the front court to Matt McMahon's basketball program. Trades Green is, by every single outlet that covers recruiting, a top 3 player in the state of Louisiana. He is, by every single outlet in recruiting, a top 8 tight end in the country. If you go to On3 for your rankings, he is the number 113 player in the country, the number 6 tight end in the country, and the number 3 player in the state of Louisiana. He is really athletic, really big, and we know that Brian Kelly leans on tight ends, and they've done a really good job with Pimpton in this class, who looks to be a star, with Markway in this class, who's a big body, and we saw what Taylor did last year as a freshman for LSU. So Trey'Dez Green figures to fall right in line there as an awesome tight end for this program. He is committed to LSU, so that is very, very good news. All right, NFL draft tomorrow from Kansas City. We'll be watching the draft over at Don Juan's Cigar Bar, courtesy of Rouse's. Want y'all to stop by at 7 o'clock tomorrow until the finish of the draft. We're looking very much forward to it. We'll see what the Saints do. And I've talked about this a little bit over the last couple of days, but I want to kind of put it into kind of concrete terms here before I get to some players that I might look to tomorrow. But I feel like the Saints, for a while, were living in a world where they could draft for luxury. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about luxury versus necessity. Luxury is something you'd really like to have. A necessity is you have to have it. If you put it to like a metaphor of a house, if you've got Sean Payton as your foundation and Drew Brees as your roof, well, you can go ahead and put in surround sound. You can get the digital thermometer system installed. That means you can draft some ancillary toys that may or may not work out. You can trade up and move your picks and go get something that's awesome. Right now, I feel like the Saints have a house. It's not like the Texans who tore the whole thing down to the floor. The Saints have a house, but the AC's busted and the roof's leaking. So you can't go buy a 75-inch flat screen. You gotta shore some things up with the house before you go get the luxuries. So to me, the necessities here, which we're talking about the roof and the air conditioning, it starts with interior defensive line. You got Nathan Shepard, you got Kylan Sanders. They've combined for 10.5 sacks in 9 years. But they're pieces on the interior of your defensive line that have played in the league. And you go into the pass rush portion of it when you go to the exterior part of the defensive line. And Cam Jordan turns 34 in July. Now, he's posted 21 sacks over the last 2 years. I don't think he'll post 21 sacks over the next 2 years. He may, but he'd be 36 at the end of that. So you've got Carl Granderson, who's a rotational piece. Tano Passanio, rotational piece. You need some pass rush. This is a necessity. This is not a luxury. You have to go do it. Whether you do it in the first round, second round, third round, you have to do it. And I would say you've got to do that before you get to the luxuries. Another necessity in this draft for the Saints, in my opinion, is running back. Some people would think of that as a shiny new toy, but I don't with this team. Kamara, 27 years old, suspended, likely. Jamal Williams was a great signing, but he's 28. And after that, what are we looking at? You can't end up in the situation you were last year. You can't end up with Eno Benjamin. You can't end up signing guys off people's that have been cut to fill out a roster. You need a running back. You want to do it in the first round? Fine. I know there's tons of people out there that would say, look, you can't draft running backs in the first round. You can get them in the third and fourth. If the Saints want to do that with Tank Bixby or somebody in the fourth, fine. But if they want to do it in the first, I'm not going to argue with them. They need a running back. Their two running backs are on the back end of a running back's lifestyle, and one's going to be suspended. So running back, necessity. Those two things, defensive line and running back, it's a must. I would love it if the Saints added a stud tight end. Mayer from Notre Dame. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are really good that should be there at 29. That's a luxury. Because Juwan Johnson and Adam Troutman are not all pro players, but they can function. Adding a tight end early in round 1 or 2 would be drafting for luxury and neglecting the necessities. That would be purchasing the massive 20-camera app-installed security system when the door doesn't lock. The Saints aren't in the same place they were in for 15 years with Peyton and Brees. There's a lot of problems with this roster. They've got to address the necessities first and then get to the luxuries later. So for me tomorrow, maybe the Saints make one pick, maybe the Saints make two picks, maybe the Saints make no picks and trade back. We'll see. That would be shocking. But it's got to start with defensive line, particularly on the interior to me, with some pass rush ability or just an edge rusher, and you got to go get a running back at some point. Running back's an easier problem to fix. Those guys tend to hit a little bit more often. But I feel like the Saints were doing the things out of luxury with Breeze and trading up and getting their guy. And that's great when you've got the foundation in the roof. When things are a little iffy like they are right now, you got to fix what is ailing you. And to me, right now, that's interior defensive line, a little bit of pass rush, and running back. That's where I see the greatest needs for this team. Sure, young QB sounds awesome. Hendon Hooker, 29th. That sounds great. Nope. You just signed a quarterback to a 4-year deal. You got to fix and put some things around him. That's luxury. Can't do it. Can't put in a pool when all the windows are bashed out. So I'm fascinated by the Saints tomorrow because I think they can do some things wrong. I think when you in that great run early in the draft, you may miss on a guy here or there, but you have such a sturdy organization that you weren't going to hurt yourself too bad. You can hurt yourself bad with the state of this roster right now if you mess up this draft. The draft became so important when the Saints decided to spend a good size of their roster on their salary cap on a quarterback. You bring back Andy Dalton, like, you're not spending that much. You can go do some things in free agency to really shore some things up. You spend a lot on your quarterback, which is, everybody does that. Not a crime, but now you got to draft. You got to draft really, really well. We'll see what the Saints decide to do at 29. I'm curious to see what that looks like. Kristen Mui joins us each and every Wednesday. He, of course, of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU Baseball podcast, former Tiger Southpaw. He joins us next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In April, we've been telling you about Dr. Robert Jackson, truly a champion of Louisiana. He founded the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy up in Shreveport, my neck of the woods. It's Northwest Louisiana's oldest free clinic and pharmacy. It provides $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients every year. The clinic operates several programs, including a worksite wellness program, grocery tours to help patients learn new ways to eat healthy, and garden, a learning center. And the clinic operates at no expense to the patient. It returns an average of $25 to the community for every $1 invested in the center. Dr. Robert Jackson, truly a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate someone, some nonprofit, to be a champion of Louisiana so we can tell their story here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Dr. Robert Jackson, April's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Not only did she tell us, but this young lady, stand up. And this young lady,
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly...
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We're a day out from the NFL Draft. Mike Triplett joins us, and we'll recap LSU Nichols from the box. Join us for Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris Demui, former Tiger Southpaw national champion, host of the 60 feet 6 inches LSU baseball podcast, joins us. Chris, how are you, sir?
Doing good, hon. How you doing, buddy?
Doing very well. Tigers got it done up in Oxford. Got a sweep. How big was that for this team?
I think it was, I don't know about massive, but it was needed, right? Me and you have always talked about, like, let's just take 2 out of 3 all year, and I think we'll all be satisfied if we finish 20-10. But when you look around the SEC, you know, Arkansas got swept, Vanderbilt got swept, Florida got swept. So for those guys to do it on the road when they've had chances before, like at A&M and then at home against Tennessee, I think it was a really good step forward. And you saw the pitching, specifically, the starting pitching really step up this past weekend in Oxford.
When you have games like the Dugas Grand Slam where they come back and beat South Carolina, or the Travinsky home run 3-run shot to beat Ole Miss, over the course of a season, do games like that resonate with a team when they fall behind late in the game and instill a little bit of belief?
No doubt. I think you're 100% correct. You know, I think that's one thing they've shown, and from the quotes this weekend, you can tell how much they enjoy being around each other. How ready the guys that have been on the bench lately, how they stay ready because they know they could be called upon at any moment. I'll be the first to admit that I was questioning pulling out Malaza. I thought he played pretty well, but obviously Travinsky it worked out for the best, right, when he caught that hanging slider. But, yeah, they have the grit, determination, the mental fortitude to not panic, as a lot of us fans do and I do sometimes when they fall behind. And the belief in each other that the next guy's going to get it done, if you get base or if you get out, is definitely there within this team. And something they can, rely on in postseason play.
What did you think about the bullpen usage on Sunday in Game 3?
After Christian Little start, I thought, personally, I thought they left Coleman in a little too long. But when I thought they were going to pull him, they left him in and he did well. And then in the end, he just ultimately hit a home run, and he left a couple pitches up. It doesn't seem like he has a really good feel for his off-speed stuff right now. His velocity looks great. But Gavin Guidry kind of came in and did it again. I think there was a collective sigh of relief when Leger flied out to the track. I thought he caught that ball. I thought it was gone. I looked at my wife. I said, it's gone. And Stevenson made a great play right at the wall. And I think in that game when you had so many arms, I have no problem piecemealing that together and going with matchups, because Skeens and Floyd, they left the bullpen completely intact for Game 3 up at Ole Miss.
When do you think that you can expect Coleman to develop a little better feel for a breaking ball?
That's a really good question. I would imagine in the next couple weeks. I think I don't know. I never had an injury like that, right? So I don't know what it's like coming back in terms of his velocity there, right? Even his fastball command's missing. I would just imagine every time he gets out on the mound, every time he throws a bullpen, to me, as a fan, the first thing I want to know is he pain-free.
Yep.
So once you check that box, then we're moving on just in terms of his fastball is good enough to play. You get, 70% of the guys in the SEC out just on his fastball because he throws low 90s. It's just those guys that are on him to where you see like just a little bit of a wrinkle. And I would imagine that's going to come in due time. But if I had to put a guess, probably SEC tournament, just because he's going to try to piecemeal it together till there. And they, I think they work it in outings, but when push comes to shove, it's going to be on that fastball,
What made Floyd better on Saturday?
To me, I felt like Floyd has been the victim of a notoriously tight zone. It seems like every time he pitches, it's just the umpire almost has it in for him. And both teams had a bigger zone on Saturday, and I thought Ty absolutely took advantage of it. Now, look, you got to throw the ball where the umpire's calling it. He's good at that. To me, it was his fastball command and location. He gave a little bit, an inch and a half off the corners on both sides, and Ty was able to take advantage of that. He still, spun in some breaking balls and a couple of changeups, but I bet you predominantly 70-75% were fastballs. And to me, he was just staying down for the most part and just around the zone to where he made Ole Miss, swing the bat.
You think that was a big step forward for him?
No doubt, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. I'm looking for another. I said in the preview podcast, he doesn't have to replicate that performance against Alabama for me per se. Not that I really matter, but I would love to see him. Let's get into the 6 again, right? 6, 2 or 3 runs, 3 or 4 hits. 1 walk again, 7 or 8 strikeouts. That'd be great. I would hate to see him kind of quote unquote regress, really struggling with his command again. Against Alabama, and then it's something to where it's a scramble on Saturday with regards to the bullpen. But I would love to see him back it up with another good outing to build just a ton of confidence heading into the end of SEC play.
Chatting with Chris Demui, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU Baseball podcast, former Tiger Southpaw. Thatcher Hurd last night. Were you impressed?
Getting there. I feel for him. I really do. Because, I think, and you the same way, we've talked about him a lot this year, but you want him to do so well. And I think he's probably never thrown like this in his life, to where it's just inconsistent, right? I'm sure he's dominated at all levels, and he's dominated at UCLA, but the fastball velocity looks great, right? It's 93 to 96. He said almost 96 in the first. It's just every now and then he'll get hurt with those breaking balls up, but I thought it was better in terms of it looks like he was his mechanics looked better. He was able to get the fastball down in the zone for the most part. I tell you one thing I wasn't impressed with was his 12-6 curveball. I don't know if I've ever really seen him throw that many, and that thing looked nasty. And it was 80, 81, I believe, and I was really impressed by that pitch. So I'm sure if you asked him, he's not happy, but they just got to keep throwing him out there and keep throwing him out there. And I think eventually he was going to have a really good outing, or something good's going to happen to where mechanics and the confidence, everything clicks, and hopefully he'll just get on a little bit of a run here at the end.
Where is your concern level with the health of this lineup?
High.
Yeah.
It's just they're so talented and deep, and they prove that at Ole Miss. You just wonder. They take punches and they just keep on chugging, and I'm not worried about last night. I was frustrated as a fan. Look, I tuned into like 70% of that. It was kind of a snooze fest. And I don't know what you said about that game today, but you just worry with how many more people can they start missing, right? You hope Morgan's okay. I like giving him a rest last night. Obviously, Tommy Tanks, I don't know if you're going to see him DH this weekend, but they have pieces that can plug and play, and guys that are experienced like, Travinsky and Milazzo, obviously the catching spot. And you have Pearson, who's getting more PT in the outfield, and Joe Bear can kind of move around. But I'm not going to say it out loud, but if another domino falls, and it's a big one, then they could just be in trouble just because it feels like they're starting to rack up. But on the flip side, you're getting some health back in the bullpen, I think, right?
Yeah.
With Ackenhausen coming back, And Coleman is just slowly moving along to where he gets, hopefully up to 4 to 5 innings before regional play. And the hitters are taking some knocks and some bruises. It seems like the pitching staff's getting a little bit healthier.
As far as catching goes, would you catch Milazzo 85% of the time while Neal's out, or do you think Travinsky's earned some time?
I definitely think Travinsky's earned some time. I was texting with somebody, because Travinsky caught Floyd. I'm like, maybe Travinsky is Floyd's personal catcher, So I would actually, I don't know if that works or not, or what J&M was talking about, but I definitely think he deserves some time, and he got a good amount of run last year, right? And he had some power last year and started a couple of SEC games, if I remember, and split time with McManus. But I'm sure Milazzo is going to take the majority of the reps back there, but I have no problem putting Travinsky back there. He's a big target. I would probably love to throw to him, and obviously you can see what he can do with the bat. So I think he's definitely earned some more looks.
What do you know about Alabama?
I know they can pitch it. I know in doing the preview podcast, they're 99 in the SEC. They return. They're really veteran. I was high on them coming into the year, high meaning just better than last year, right? Last year they were bad, had some injuries. But when you look at their lineup, they returned almost every hitter that played for them last year. So there's a ton of veteran leadership. They've been through the SEC battles. And not hitting great in the SEC. They're around 8th. I think they hit like 264 as a team in conference play. But pitching, they're first or second in every pitching category that there is. So their starters are good. They're experienced. They 2 of the 3 guys threw against LSU last year, and they have 2 studs out of the bullpen. And one of them is their shutdown lefty, who's a freshman, Alton Davis. And he has not given up an earned run in SEC play this year. He's going to throw 94, 95. And he can throw multiple times in a weekend, just checking out some of the box scores. And he's not just going to be in there for 1 inning. He can be in there for 2 or 3. So he's somebody else who's going to have to deal with out of the bullpen. And if I was talking to the fans right now, just don't overlook Alabama. They had a rough start to the year in terms of conference play. They cruised through non-conference play. Their schedule was a joke. But they have Vandy after this. So if I'm Alabama, I'm like, we can try to get 1 here, get 1 at Vandy, and then, maybe get 2 out of 3 the last couple series, and we should be sitting pretty, come SEC tournament time. Hopefully try to get into a regional.
Tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
I appreciate it, huh? Yeah, YouTube channel, Twitter, podcast is on all major audio platforms. It's 60 Feet 6 Inch LSU Podcast. Twitter is 60FT 6IN LSU Pod. I love doing this time with you. You should see I got papers spread out everywhere, huh? Because I always feel like you got something hidden from me that I'm not going to be prepared for. I'll send you a picture later, but man, I got seeds everywhere. So I appreciate it, man. I always have a good time with you on Wednesday.
We appreciate your time. We'll do it again next week.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
He is Chris Demouy, host of that 60 Feet 6 Inch LSU Baseball Podcast, former Tiger national champion, and we always have fun with him here on Wednesdays. Reminder again that we will be at Don Juan Cigar Bar tomorrow for the NFL Draft. 7 o'clock is when you can find us there. We'll be starting up the stream on YouTube. Rouse is bringing you the NFL Draft stream over at Don Juan, and we're very much looking forward to heading over there and spending the entire draft over at Don Juan. So if you're in the area and don't have any plans, coming out and say, hey, a couple of us will be on the headset at a time, but a couple of us will be just back by the bar watching the draft and chatting up with listeners. So want to see y'all at Don Juan tomorrow. And one final time here on this Wednesday, want to remind you that 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon presented today by Luba. You can donate today at 1045ESPN.com. Every donation goes into our raffle. Every donation of $5 goes into the raffle. And all these things are individual. The Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, autographed ball, autographed picture, all individual. You can win those. Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet. Justin and Jamar Chase framed wall print. You can win a trip to the CMA Musical Festival in Nashville in June. Concerts to Zach Bryan, Shinedown, Thomas Rhett, Guns N' Roses, Hardy, Depeche Mode. We really appreciate y'all for being such a wonderful listenership and being so generous with your money for the Dreams Come True Radiothon in April. Donations run through the weekend on the 30th. We appreciate anything that you can offer over there at 1045ESPN.com for our partners at Dreams Come True. It's been a great, successful run through April with Dreams Come True. We'll come back, close out our Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. It's not an awesome time to move for a lot of people right now. If you'd like to upgrade your living situation and don't necessarily want to move, how's a new bathroom sound? David Duvall and his team have been in the business for 3 decades redesigning and remodeling bathrooms. Go to onebathandclosets.com, see their work there, see the testimonials there. It's awesome. And the best part on the closet side, hey, you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not going to charge you to rip out your current closet. They're not going to charge you to install the new closet. Just charge for that labor. Just charge, for the unit of the closet over at One Bath and Closets. David Duvall is awesome. He does great work, and I promise you this: they're not going to come back 3 weeks after the project is done because they cut some corners and they got to change something up. Nope, they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. Again, it's OneBathAndClosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
For live coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft, starting with Round 1 Thursday at 8 p.m. and continuing Friday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at noon. Our coverage is presented locally by Rouse's, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Wednesday, fired up for tomorrow's show. We will have Joe Healy of D1 Baseball on with us. We'll certainly preview the NFL Draft, get you ready for what the Saints are going to do. And quite frankly, the Saints have a pretty significant interest in what happens at number 1 with the Carolina Panthers. We all assume it's going to be Bryce Young. We'll see if there's anything that moves and shakes over the next 22 hours, I guess, that would would change that before we go back on air at 1 o'clock tomorrow. But it's interesting for Saints fans to see who the number 1 pick is. We will find out from Don Juan tomorrow. But right now, it's time for some Take It or Leave It, Alondra Royale.
All right. IMG Academy was sold to a Hong Kong-based private equity firm for $1.25 billion. Your high school being owned by a Chinese private equity firm. Take it or leave it.
It's probably pretty cool. I guess I'll take it. I mean, I think they're going to spend a lot of money on it. IMG has become an athlete factory over there in Florida, and LSU's benefited from that. Brady Neal went to IMG Academy. Had a lot of guys that have come through that have gone to IMG on the basketball side, football side, and baseball side. This is not some kind of random new thing they've done. This Chinese private equity firm purchased all these private schools all over the world. They got like 65 of them, and just they run them with money. The funny thing is they bought it for $1.25 billion. Just seems like a lot of money to spend on an athlete factory, but it is what it is. So my high school certainly was not. We also weren't very good at sports, so can't really relate much to it, but I think it's whatever.
All right, the Wrigley Field bleacher bums chanted, "He's on steroids" at Fernando Tatis Jr. last night. Take it or leave it.
Look, I'll take it. I'll take it. If you're gonna do steroids, you can get yelled at in the outfield by the bleacher bums. There are some things that may be off limits there. Steroids, not one of them. So I think that's just fine. I think that's good, clean heckling. I think Tatis dancing and taking it in stride is refreshing as well. Look, Fernando Tatis did a bunch of steroids, hit a bunch of home runs, made a bunch of money, then had to sit out a year, but he still got all his money. So he's probably not sweating it too much. And the bleacher bums, have a couple of beers out there in the bleachers, let the guy have it. I like it. All clean fun.
Okay, Trae Young lit it up last night for the Hawks, who won Game 5 in Boston. That series is going to 7. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that. I think the Celtics will get it in gear and win in Atlanta. Look, the Celtics played a pretty good game yesterday. Trae Young just was out of his mind. If that's what it's going to take for the Hawks to win, then that's going to be tough to replicate. At home, it's a little bit easier. But Young's something. He's part of this era that Steph Curry created. The Trae Young type of player did not exist before Steph Curry made it, and that now is something that you see a good bit in the league with guys who handle the ball a lot, take wild off-balance threes, shoot a ton of threes, not necessarily the highest percentage play, but if you make enough of them, it's efficient enough to win games, and not a lot of people can do it. Trae Young can, and he found it last night up in Boston, so we'll see. I do think that the Celtics will get it done in Game 6.
Aaron Rodgers tried to manage expectations at his introductory press conference today. The Jets fans will keep expectations reasonable. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'm going to leave that. There's no chance of that whatsoever. The Jets fans have been miserable for decades. I put some statistics behind that yesterday when I was saying they've won their division twice since the 70s. They have never had a player since 1972 receive a single MVP vote. They have the longest current playoff drought in the Big Four American sports. They are truly an atrocious franchise, but it is a massive and rabid fan base, and they now believe they've got the savior. And for him to stand there and say, wait a second, I'm not the savior, after all the trumpets played him down from heaven, that's not going to work. They want you to go out there, throw for 340 and 5 touchdowns in week 1, go 13-4, and win the division. Like, that's the only expectation any Jets fan will have. Now, they'll probably handle the failure if it comes the way that they always do and understand that they always fail. But right in this second, right now, and in week 1 of the season, no. You're supposed to hit the ground running and knock it out of the park. This ain't Green Bay. This is New York. A little different, and Aaron's going to have to figure that out, which I think he very well understands, which is why he said the things that he said at his press conference today about maybe tempering expectations a touch while people get acclimated to each other in this Jets system. That is not going to happen, Mr. Aaron. You are now in the biggest media market in the world, and you will be treated as such and expected to deliver a championship pronto. And that's going to be the expectation. So that's funny that we would even have that to come up, but that's the way that's going to go. All right, that's it for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. As always, want to remind you, you can catch our audio and video on demand. You can find it at 1045ESPN.com. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Google. And, of course, you can find it on YouTube as well. I've got 2 separate YouTube channels aligned with my show. I've got Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. We'll put the content those different places. If you want to subscribe to that, we would really appreciate it. You can catch our full shows on demand every day. You can also find some video clips that we cut up on my channel over there on YouTube. Search the Hunt Palmer Show on all those platforms. You can find us, like, subscribe, rate, review, get our content in front of as many people as we can. That always helps us out a ton, so we appreciate it. Those of you in the Bayou Ford chat on YouTube, throw us a like. We certainly do appreciate it. We opened up talking about LSU and Nichols. Tigers lose last night. My thoughts on the game. SEC Baseball Power Rankings. Where does LSU rank? That was at 115. You can go back and check it out. It was a What If Wednesday. What if Nick Saban went from the Dolphins to Mississippi State? What would have happened? We answered that question. Deion Sanders drama up in Boulder. That was the end of hour number 1. 2 guests in hour number 2. J.D. Pickell on the SEC Spring Games and Chris Demui on LSU Baseball as well. Jimmy Ott's Game Time tonight, 6 to 8. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. It's the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have